For me, it kind of looks a little bit dangerous because I can take out a kid's ankle if I accidentally slip on it or my own, because it doesn't you don't have much movement, you know? And if you want to make a fast movement, it kind of just gets stuck in the mud.
You want to play at home, but you can't because the field.
The ball doesn't move the same as on turf, and you have trouble with traction a lot of the times when it's wet.
Because I'm from Spain, and there I usually practice always and play always in turf. And when I come here, it was more difficult for me to adapt. And I think that will help a lot more to be I'm practicing turf, and we can be more safe.
There's always a chance that you slide and hurt your knee or twist your ankle. There's always that possibility of getting hurt a little bit.
It's a little bit of a disadvantage because, obviously practicing outside, there's more room. We can actually kick the ball and not worry about hitting the lights in the gym. And, obviously when the field's wet, you can't really practice outside that much either because it's all muddy and slippery. It's definitely different because on grass, you're slower. Turf, you go faster. And kickoff, the ball bounces totally different on turf versus grass. Grass, it can totally just die. Turf, it can keep going for 20 yards, So it's a lot different. It makes us feel like the underdogs, I guess.
I remember one game, I think it was my sophomore year, that the ref had to call the game halfway through the second half because it was just so muddy, it wasn't safe. Girls wouldn't even have the ball and they would just fall 50 yards from the ball because it was so hard to run. Our coach has been doing a really good job at trying to make us practice in the gym. I think we even practiced at the softball field once too, just to use their turf so we could get a feel for the turf, because the ball moves a lot faster and you have to be a lot more precise on turf than you would on grass, where it's just bumpy and slow rolling. And especially when we play against teams like Gladstone, who are #1 in the state, they've been playing on turf forever. Their practice field's turf, their game field's turf, it's all just one field, and they're able to do that instead of having okay, the girls are gonna practice at this field, the boys are gonna practice at this field. And football is going to practice at the field and the track because we can't afford to have everyone practice there because the field will just get destroyed in 2 weeks.
We don't have access to a turf field, not only in Estacada, but not for several miles. The closest turf field is Sandy, and they use it. So even if we wanted to have an extra practice here and there, there's literally nowhere we can go do that. So we've used the infield of our softball field, which is, again, it's softball. There's base tracks and there's the pitching mound, and it's not safe to practice on there, but what can we do when we don't have anywhere to transition our play to, because the ball bounces different, the traps are different, it rolls faster, and it's really necessary to be able to have a chance to adjust, which we currently are unable to have. It's embarrassing when our games will get canceled because it's not like we can do anything about it, and it's particularly embarrassing when we're halfway through a game and the ref just can't stand to be out there anymore because of how much mud he's having to walk through.
I think it puts us at a huge disadvantage when we go and play at other teams' fields. It's really hard for us because the ball moves faster, and it's harder for us to do moves that our body has muscle memory, and so we know to put this much power into the ball when passing that distance. And when you put it on turf, it completely changes it up. You can't play the same, and it makes it really hard. And when we have muddy, slippery fields, we're just sliding around. And when you slide, typically when you're body to body with someone will go down with you, which can cause more injuries, having someone land on you or you land on them. And it can hurt ankles and knees and stuff slipping out.
When we do play on turf, you can definitely tell how our game gets amped up and how the goalies can have more accurate dives and all that kind of stuff. But on our grass, even the best goalies can't dive in it. You see a lot of these up there teams still struggling, and I'm glad to know it's not just me, but it's not fun to know that you can't play and represent your team when the field is what's keeping you from playing your best.